Hey, this is the Uprising Podcast. I'm be doing the show solo today. Pack is not feeling well, so I want to get my thoughts out. So we're gonna have a full show hopefully next week. But I want to hit on a couple topics. First topic I'm going to talk about is reform versus defund the police. So reforming or abolishing police has been going around a topic in our nation right now, and some of the conversations people are having, I definitely agree with. Definitely need lots of places, lots of police departments in the country definitely need reform. And just reimagining even how to do police, like in Minneapolis. I don't fully agree with abolishing police like nationwide. I think this needs to be a very local issue. I think a lot of police need a lot of reform, and a lot of them just need defunding. And I appreciate the topic. At first, I didn't know what the topic even was about necessarily because just the framing was kind of odd. But when you really like people explain it to you, okay, that's what you mean. Like redistributing, putting funds in different areas instead of police. Like the LA budget for the police is like over 50% of their citywide budget, and I think that's not acceptable. And they need to start moving that money to other areas like education and mental health and things like that, because poverty leads to crime, and if people are not educated, more likely to live in poverty and more likely to do crimes out of desperation or other means. So my stance definitely is a lot of reform, a lot of places, and if it's necessary, definitely defund it. And the bigger thing that people are not talking about is this is moving over to a window more to the left when it comes to police. And if you don't know what that means, when it comes to politics, it's called an over to window. And what it means is your discussion is on certain areas. So right now, our over to window in general politics is very right wing. It used to be more left wing with FDR, and it's slowly and slowly with Goldwater and Nixon and Reagan, it went super right wing. And we've been kind of pushing the conversation with the Sanders campaigns more left wing, more to the center of other places in the world or our history. So I appreciate the moving of the over to window. So certain people are like, oh my God, this not was not abolished or defined, but that's good though, because you think about it, that's moving over to window. That's the extreme, for in some people's eyes. That's the extreme measure. So let's do something. It's not as extreme to fix this issue, and we're having a discussion. For most part, people are having a discussion that police reform and other means is extremely necessary, which is positive. The right wing have been doing this for years, having super extreme opinions like abolish taxes or things like that. Like, well, let's not do that. That's crazy, but let's do something else not as crazy as that. So we're doing that when it comes to police, which I appreciate. But the framing, a lot of people need to work on, in my opinion, because when when uh, when people say defund, they think it means abolish, which is not what it means. It's just redistributing funds from the police to other areas to fix crime, not regulate crime, which is what police do in a lot of ways. And the police have too many responsibilities in this country. Where a lot of communities are putting way too much pressure to fix every single thing in this country. And they can't do that, so it makes them more jumpy, it makes them more stressed out, and a lot of other things is a lot of other reforms I'm definitely in favor of is body cams, which will cost money, better training, which will cost money, racial bias training not necessarily works in certain instances, like Minneapolis, they had that. but racial biased testing, which means if you have a racial bias, maybe you shouldn't be a cop. Other ideas I've heard that I like is like a now what I've heard, my opinion is a little different. The person I heard is if they have one valid complaint of wrongdoing, they're fired. If they don't get fired in 30 days, then that department loses their federal funding. And if the other department in the other side of town, or the state, I mean, hire that said cop, they lose their federal funding, and they would have a database of all the cops, all their records. So I like that, but I think it needs to be 3 strikes. And if they do, and those 3 strikes are verified from an independent committee of people in those communities, need to have boards on every community in this country, in my eyes, that are policing to police in ways, and have either federal people to help with that as well, for gives the police side as well, so it's not extremely biased, or have retired cops or something along those lines. I haven't fully materialized up in my mind, but I agree with that. That's going to make these heads of these police departments crack down on people that are doing wrongdoing. And just so many other things that a lot of people that know a lot more about this subject than I do, and a lot smarter on the subject than I am, and don't have my skin complexion, because a lot of white Americans don't really realize that. And I think they're finally starting to realize that cops treat minorities different than they treat white people. I've been pulled over maybe 10 times in my life, and maybe twice it's been more aggressive than a normal pullover, but I've never been taken out of my car, and never been overly rude. Just maybe the cop was having a bad day, or maybe I just encountered a bad one. But my experience is extremely different from other experiences as well. So I think people need to listen more on this subject and talk less. And I am doing that myself. I think I implore a lot of other people that don't know a lot about this subject to listen more and talk less. So that's all I have right now on that subject. It's going to be definitely want to hear Pac's opinion when he's feeling better on the subject, and that's really all I got to say right now.